It's Talk Funny, a podcast by Mark Bailey and other comics from all over. We ended up in Japan because we are not complete idiots. Some pieces are missing. The Talk Funny podcast from Nagoyaradio.com and Nagoyacomedy. Here's Mark Bailey.
Here's Mark Bailey.
And welcome to Talk Funny. It's a podcast presented by Nagoyacomedy.com. Our guest today has been on before. He was a real natural. Please welcome again Mr. Tim Lennane. Welcome.
Hey, thanks a lot. How you doing, Mark?
Doing good. How about you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you. And you?
Wanted to ask you, there's some of the comics in Nagoya Comedy sometimes have problems with their wives, you know, giving them permission, and you'll find out the day of, like, she's really in a bad mood. It's really not a good, you know.
It's that time of the month.
You and a couple of other guys, you literally have to gauge. You have to look out onto the ocean and gauge the tides. It's like, no, there's a storm coming. This is really not going to be good.
What are the anger levels? Are they reaching like 9 or 10 here? Where are we at here?
It's like she's making ramen and she's banging all the pots and everything. Yeah, so now, how would that work if I come in and go, by the way, honey, are you making dinner for tonight?
Are you going out? Are you going out?
Are you going out?
What are you doing? I thought you were staying in.
Why didn't you tell me you were going out?
It's been on the calendar for the past like 3 months, only that long.
You're not supposed to be going out. What are you going out for? Why do you have everything you need here? Well, except for, like a reason to live. Like, so my wife, she's disappointed if I don't go out.
Yeah.
My wife's like, don't you have somewhere to be? Let's go to the office and play
Are you
around.
talking about your hobby?
Yeah.
Your hobby? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. Well, my wife, and she's like, what are you doing here? She wants to clean the room or something, And I said, it's my house. I actually paid for it this year. I have the deed.
Well,
it's
congratulations.
my money. Yeah, seriously, thanks. I've actually literally got the deed there because I don't want her. It's that brown envelope right there. And
She'll get it like, sorry.
yeah, so probably doesn't want me to say his name, but one of the other comics who sometimes plays with us, and he'll email me, and he's like, he has 2 kids now, and he's like, oh man, it is really bad. He goes, I really wish I could come. I'm like, I understand.
Yeah.
There's really it's not worth. What are you going to make if you come? You're going to make it at most 2,000 yen, and then you're going to get divorced. A lawyer costs more than that.
Yeah, just a little bit. I said on magnitude, 10 times, 30 times.
It's not worth a divorce, just not. But Steve brought this up one time before. He always has problems with his wife, and he's like, I got the green light, and then he's on the subway, and then the green light goes away. It's just turned to a red light. I have to turn around.
Yeah.
You can't make it, guys. Not for the show, but like for podcasts or
yes.
A picnic in the park that we did, the liquid picnics that we did. So he had a conversation with his wife one time, and I did this similar thing with my wife. And my wife was like, is this a hobby? And his wife asked him the same thing. He's like, what is it? Is it a hobby? And he goes, no, I happen to actually think I'm good at it. And he goes, the more I do it, the better I get at it. And this is what I want to do. This is one of my talents. It's like if you were a really good tennis player or you had the potential to be, I wouldn't stand in your way. You go to tennis practice. And if you don't go to tennis practice, you're never going to get better. And you may have it in you to be a great tennis player. And, some of us are actually good at what we do. And I bristle. I know you say stuff like, well, we're not pros. I bristle at that because I actually was a pro.
Yeah, you were a pro.
But I'm trying to get you guys to realize that if you're getting paid for it, technically that is pro.
Yeah,
technically.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that on a certain level. You're semi-pro. Now, you were actually a pro. I mean, that's the truth. And the wife is literally, she's going, are you making money at this? Well, not a lot.
Right.
But also, it's like, and of course, it comes back. You're 54, Tim. You're the time of like finding out discovery.
We're the same age. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, we are the same. I'm 53. Sorry. 53.
Oh, yeah, but so what does she think? What does she think you do? She thinks it's a hobby.
Yeah, it's totally a hobby. And
a reason to drink.
Yeah, and of course I'm an alcoholic. So the whole point is that
Oh, you really? I'm sorry.
Totally.
Okay.
I've done the whole 12-step program. It didn't work.
Apparently not. I've seen you at clubs.
You're not listening, Eric, my father, my sister. You're not hearing this now, okay?
Yeah, I think the wives sometimes see it as just an excuse for us to drink and hang out with the guys. But I mean, we're hanging out with guys that we like. We're getting paid something. I mean, it's basically a coupon on drinks is what we're getting.
Yeah,
so
yeah, you're getting it subsidized.
We're spending more on drinks than we're making, but
it's like the classic Blues Brothers problem.
Right. But we're working on a craft and we're getting better and better at it. And a couple of the guys at the beginning, they didn't understand, like, why do we have to write new stuff every month?
Oh, yeah.
Now everybody gets it because it's the same people, and they won't come if we don't have new stuff. And that's our only selling point.
That's true, and we do have a certain fan base out there. But yeah, you've mentioned this before, is that we are writing, and a lot of what I've never knew about this is all the amount of writing that actually goes into this. Whereas I was a screenwriter before, and I've dabbled in some other type of writing, but I never knew like comics had to write so much. I mean, just to get to a decent joke.
Right.
Because and there's a lot of flat jokes out there.
that leads into something that I get a kick out of it. 'Cause Jerry Seinfeld, of course, genius. But, he does polish his jokes for 2 years, right? And when you see his set, it's pretty much flawless, and it's all funny, and he's thrown out the stuff that's not funny because he's tested. Like at 1 o'clock in the morning, he'll go to Caroline's or something, and you'll see him testing out new stuff. I always loved that. I love that better than watching it. What's the deal with who are these people? I've heard that joke 50 times.
Seriously, folks.
And so he polishes it, right? And he polishes it for 2 years. He can do that because he can go to, there's about 387 comedy clubs on the East Coast, on the Upper East Coast alone. And you can go to each club, and it's a new set at that club each time, right? And then each club usually has 2 shows. 800 new audiences that you can try out in about a month or a week, right? We can't do that. We have the same audience, and the same audience here, another one in Gifu, we have another one in Toyohashi, and it's basically the same guys that come out. And so what I tried to make you guys do is write new stuff 10 minutes, and it's hard. It's really hard.
It's hard.
So when you're working a real job and you're doing this, it's really hard. But I think we're getting better at it now, and you get used to it. And so what I was saying is when I listen to Joe Rogan, or I'll listen to Louis C.K. jokes, just forget. Louis C.K. always bragged that he threw out his set after a year. Every year, he's like, every year, new set. I'm like, that's so adorable. Because we do that every month, Louis.
Yeah.
And we're not Louis C.K., but we look at the writing. We're getting so good at the writing, and they get complacent, to tell you the truth. You get used to writing just for a year. One set for you, 1 hour for a year. We write 2 hours a year, at least. If you're doing 10 minutes new stuff every month, and I'm doing sometimes 15 and 20, and that's 2 to 3 hours a year. All other comics usually write about an hour. They get an hour, and they use that for a year. Some of them use the same shtick for 5 years. And you can do it. We can't do it here in Nagoya. So we can't do it in Japan. It's accelerated. So we're actually becoming super comic writers. I know you don't feel like it, but we are.
I'll take to heart something you told us when you started this, like almost 2 years ago. You said try to write 5 jokes a day.
Yeah.
And of course, I don't write 5 jokes a day, but I'm trying to stay on that thing. And of course, you're not going to get great ones all the time, but you'll hit a theme and just go on a tear, and then you've got 5 minutes right there.
But also, even if you can't come up with a joke, a premise is great too, because I'll get a premise and I'll just think about it on the train, and then when I find some things that are funny, I'll turn on my sound recorder and say them. And I've got so much material on my sound recorder I haven't used yet.
Me too, actually. I never looked through it either.
It never had time.
I got to go back to it and
now you got to play it back and write it down. That's a pain.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, also when I'm desperate, when I'm not prepared for a show, I'm going, God, I got to have some new stuff, and I'm desperately trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I start going back to my audio recordings, going, oh, that's kind of funny. We should do that. So.
Yeah. And so I think we're doing great. And you would be surprised, like in the last two and a half years we've been doing this, and by the time the show airs,
2.5 years,
we probably will have been. By the time the show airs, we'll probably be doing have done 40 shows, one a month, 1 or 2 a month. Yeah. And in the U.S. that's nothing, but 40 shows, let's say 35 of those are 10 minutes new material. Yep. And that's amazing.
Yep.
And Joe Rogan, Louis C.K., Carlin was. People thought he was a god because he a new hour of material every year. Like, we're not Carlin, but we write. Maybe our jokes are half as funny, but we write 2 hours a year, basically.
Well, now,
new material.
Interesting question here for you, because on the pro side, is that aren't they constantly writing too anyway? They're just kind of they're swapping jokes.
They're polishing. They're polishing.
They don't they like build up a bunch an hour over a year or something like that they want to they've got a nice good new set to go with.
Well, I watched Seinfeld. I watched these guys do it. Okay, so let's say Louis C.K. has 20 minutes on how his kid is an idiot. That's one of his things. Right?
Sure.
And let's say eight of those minutes are drop dead funny. Mm-hmm. He'll polish it till it's an 8-minute bit. Because it should be 8 minutes, but he wrote 20. What we do is we write 10, and maybe we have 8 that kill, and 2 that we would never want to do them again. We tried them. Yeah. But he gets to try the 20 minutes 800 times, and he realizes the 20 minutes, this part doesn't work. It should be an 8-minute bit. So he gets an 8-minute bit, and the next year he uses that 8-minute bit in his hour for the whole year. You see what I mean?
I got it.
We throw it out every month. We don't. I mean, maybe Well,
I've recycled.
And we recycle when we go to a different place, a different city. So I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Like we were in Ikeshita. We had 2 people. In the audience. Those 2 people weren't in Gifu, so I used that.
2 people was huge, man, huge.
So we had a set in Gifu. I remember what I've told in Gifu and what I haven't. So for us, it's new material in Gifu. I think that's fair, and new material in Toyohashi, even though I've done it before in Ikeshita. But, something I've done at GC, I usually won't repeat that again, unless it's the Valentine's Day thing. That's just kind of a tradition, But, so that's what Seinfeld, and they'll polish it. So they probably wrote an hour and a half, and they polished it to a solid hour. And it's really funny. And they know exactly what works and what doesn't work. We don't have that luxury, because by the time we polish our 10 minutes, people will have heard it 12 times.
Yeah, no, that is a kind of a drawback here, because they've heard it 3 times. They don't want to come anymore. Yeah, it's like they don't want to spend the $10 coming. You know what I mean?
So, you're the guy with the wife thing, and you scream. I got it. Yeah,
yeah, or the masturbation jokes. Yeah.
We try to sell tickets, and people are like, "So is it the same stuff?" And I said, "Almost. It's the same guys. We have a few new guys, but it's new stuff. It's all new stuff. What are we, idiots? We know that you've seen our act, right? So." That's something that you guys, I hope you appreciate, that you have a superpower that most comics in the States don't have. So if you ever went to the States, you would blow them away with your ability, seriously, to write fast.
Well, I would hope at some point I'm going to actually try this out in the States, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course. And when you go there, you're going to be like, I have to be real careful. There's a guy that plays with us, and he started recently, and I've heard his same act 3 times. It's fantastic. Yes. It's fantastic. But I can do his act now because I've heard it 3 times. And he did it 3 times in the same club, same audience. And I've asked this guy, you understand this is not like in the States. This is 10 minutes new stuff. And I think last time, 2 times before, I think he had 2 new minutes. And he's like, how was that? And I'm like, those were 2 good new minutes. But you needed 8 more new minutes. You did 8 minutes of older stuff, right? And it's really good. It was really funny. But it's getting old, And the venue owner goes, oh, that guy's really good. I said, try seeing his act 4 times in a row. You're going to get tired of it, They're not used to it. You go to the States, and everybody's basically doing their act, and they do it for a year or 2. So if you're a comic and you keep watching these guys, you've seen their act 30 times. And I don't care. I mean, I love Louis C.K. I can watch his act over and over and over again. And I do on DVD and stuff. And we're going to go into Louis C.K. But as a comic, he keeps growing and growing and growing. You wanted to talk about Me Too.
No, just didn't mean to.
Did you have something on Me Too?
No, I didn't.
There's hashtag Me Too. I was thinking of maybe changing it and call it Pound Me Too.
I mean, let's face it. Your hand doesn't say, me too. It's just, you can't.
Yeah, it's like, I'm afraid, I'm going to go up on stage and the mic is going to drop to my groin, and my groin's going to go, he touched me. He touches me every night. He abuses me.
And he puts his mouth on me, if you know what I mean.
He abuses me. He calls me names.
And he shares me out with other people.
He makes me stare at barnyard animals. Okay, that's all the time we have. I think we'll cover some other topics. This has been Tim Lennane with Mark Bailey, and brought to you by Nagoya Comedy. This is Talk Funny. You can contact us at assportjapan@yahoo.com by email. Please don't ask why. It's a long story. But it's easy for us to filter out trolls and everything. We got some great feedback. They seem to like our advice on open mic when we give that. Oh, yeah. So maybe we can do that in a future show. So thanks for coming by. Tim will be back on the show very soon.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, thanks. We'll talk to you later.
Hey.